It's starting. Okay. There it goes. There it goes. Refresh.
Refresh. Nope.
Anything?
What's this? Oh, it's this one. No. Yeah. No, that's 4.
Yeah. That's it.
It doesn't have a little live icon. Okay.
Live. Here you go.
Amazing.
There you go. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Mike. You're welcome, Mark. So today is May 2nd, and we should be getting into creating a navigation and menu system and then creating the template files. But we were still in the creating WordPress theme from a template lecture from, wow, look at how the attendance has dropped. All you bastards are at home right now. Well, they're probably going to be watching this at a later in the day. They're probably, yeah, they're out in the sunshine right now, and they're going to be watching this later. I should just, yeah. Should I? How many of you that have showed up today vote that I just stop the recording?
Could it be please don't.
Yeah, please don't. Please don't. Okay. So as well, apparently the sound went out last time. Yay! So let's check sound. Green lights. Slow clap. So basically where we were was that we had created our index.php from our main.html, and that we had put in a style sheet. Remember, style.css is the naming convention of the style sheets that you want to use. We also made sure that we put in the description, the theme name, the author name, the author URI, description, etc., so that when we are within the WordPress admin, we go and open up the WordPress admin. WEB170. WordPress. P16. I haven't put my login button in yet, but admin is not spelled like that, so. So if we put that comment in, so these comments here in the style sheets. So if I go to the good old Dreamweaver that I have open, so we should have our, again, we started with our main.html, and basically I took my main.html, renamed it index.php. I then took my styles.css, and because WordPress wants to use the file called style.css, we turned that into style.css, and then I gave it a name, I gave it an author, I gave it an author URI, I told both Bree and Paige to do their homework here, and then I gave it a version. And so because I did this in the style sheets, that is where then in the dashboard then, if we go under appearance, themes, we have, excuse me, excuse me, I have my spring 2016 demo, which has been activated. And if I hit the theme details button, this is where then it has the byline, it has the description that hopefully Bree and Paige are doing their homework. We have the version here, and we have the title 2016 demo. Again, I'm just kind of going through this because the audio cut out last time. And I think this was part of the stuff that the audio cut out. Then I made you guys do a functions.php file. At this point in time, we don't have to have a functions.php file. The only files that we have to absolutely have are index.php and style.css. But again, a functions.php file, if I then go to my Mike's Cool GitHub, and I go to, for instance, my, did I pass it? There it is. My business theme that I'm using for an example in this class. If I go to my functions.php file, that then is the file that we are going to use. Notice really quick here where I have register my menus, right? So at this point in time, we don't have in our theme, we haven't registered any menus, right? But we have in our admin, in our dashboard, we have created a menu and we've given that menu a name. True? Totally, Mike, we've totally done that. So that's when I feel like nobody's talking back or answering me. I'll answer my own questions in a mocking voice like that. And my 5-year-old thinks it's funny. So here is where then in the functions file, for instance, we are going to register our nav menus at a later date, I think within this week here. And that's going to go in the functions file. So what I did, and I encourage you guys to already, is to have then a functions.php file. And if I open up the functions.php file, I basically have an empty PHP script so far. And that empty PHP script then basically what I've done in my working life is there have been days where I've been working on 3 or 4 different WordPress installs at the same time. And if I didn't comment out in my functions file what functions file for what theme I was working on, well, you can see how that might go, that I might not know what file I'm working on, and I could be working on one file for a period of time, and I'm working on the wrong file. So that's a way of controlling for that. The screenshot, again, whether you want to use a screenshot of that looks like your theme, which I would really encourage you to do, or if you want to use a screenshot of your cat or your snake, right? I mean, the snake is pretty cute, right? So, or whatever, you can do that. So we activated it and we found out that, hey, our style sheet didn't look like it was loading. And this is where then we started adding the WordPress functions to our theme. And the first WordPress function that we started out with was the blog info function. And again, what I've tried to do in my lectures here online is that I've tried to, when it comes to this kind of stuff, I've put a link to the WordPress Codex, right? Where the WordPress Codex is basically Encyclopedia WordPress. The Codex WordPress. I learned a new term over the weekend, hacksaw.
I have no idea.
Mike Raspberry sent me or posted on my wall on Facebook saying, "Hey man, you've been hacksawed?" And so I looked it up on Wikipedia. Of course, there's no mention of it. What I did was on my phone, I went to his Facebook page and shared a bunch of his postings.
From your pocket.
From my pocket, my phone in my pocket.
Nice.
So I basically butt dialed his, I butt dialed, shared a lot of his postings.
What did you walk into?
Nothing important.
Sweet.
So hacksword.
Wow.
I learned a new word, hacksword.
Okay, good, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So blog info then is the function that you have quite a few different arguments that you can pass through it. Name displays the site title. We'll get to that when we start doing the title tag. Description displays the tagline, so on and so forth. If we go down here, style sheet URL was the first one that we used. It displays the primary CSS, usually style.css. So that's where if I go back to the code here, that's where then in my index.php file, this is where, again, if I had so if I go back and I open up main.html, and this is then the template file that I'm working from, here is the link to my style sheet that I originally had it called styles.css, which you can see over here. Once I turn this into index.php, I had to use this function, blog info, with the argument or parameter stylesheet.url, which basically that argument stylesheet.url, then if I go and we visit my WordPress.16 site here, or WordPress-SP16, and if I view page source, here then, that style or that blog info style sheet URL, because the style.css is within whatever theme you are currently using in the themes folder, in the WP content folder, in the WordPress install folder, in your domain, just pointing it to style.css, you will get a file not found, or it just won't link to it. So basically then blog info, style sheet URL, that argument has to, or what it will do then is it will look into your WordPress install, into your WP content folder, into your themes folder, in your WEB170 Spring 16 theme, if that's the theme you are using or that you named, for style.css. Likewise, we also, or I also, have a flex slider on my home page. And so if you've ever used Flex Slider before out there in the wild, then you have come across the need to use a separate style sheet for Flex Slider that it actually comes with when you download Flex Slider. Who in here has used Flex Slider? Right? It's the one that I point you guys to in my Web 200 class, and it's one that I point my UW students in the HCD 532 class too. But what I would need to do then is I would need to point to flexslider.css here inside my theme folder, inside the themes folder, inside the WP content folder, in my WordPress folder under my domain. So I can use the blog info function, and these functions are nothing more than Where is it? Where is it? Show 3 more source. They've changed the codex here a little bit. So I'm looking for this login. There it is. Is that it? Let's see. No. Yeah, they've changed this a little bit. They used to allow you to see where it's in WP includes general template. That's where the function lives. You used to be able to go and look at the actual function where they have it within their admin. I will have to take a look at that at a later date because it doesn't, again, they've changed some stuff. But nonetheless, I'm using blog info with the argument template directory to then look into this theme folder and then look for the file flex slider. So I could have done it the same way where so if I had any other style sheet or even the main style sheet, I could have as well done it like this and looked into the theme folder and then made sure I put the slash there and then pointed to style.css. So if I save that and it gets published up to the interwebs, and I actually then go and view it, it's like nothing's happened because it's still accessing the same file. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's certainly not the way I do it, though. I generally do it like that. Same thing. If I had then any scripts like this that lived in a scripts folder, right? I would want to, again, dig into my theme folder and look into the scripts folder for whatever file that I wanted to. Same thing here where if in my header I have an image that I need to point to, again, I would use blog info template directory. Again, look in my theme folder, look in the images folder for image toggle.png. So it would then look for that PNG. So similar, if I have then a logo, still recording. So if I have a logo here that then if I view page source, and that logo lives, logo PNG in my images folder, Premium Design Works, themes, WP content, so on and so forth. If I went to my header file where that lives, blog info template directory, images, logo.png, so on and so forth. I even then put that down here in my content because I had an image here that I wanted to look into. Here's the thing though, because this is now a WordPress theme and no longer a static template, right? All this content that we have here, oops. Bye-bye. I'm also going to tag this. This will become really important when we start breaking our things into the template files of page, single, so on and so forth. Okay. So if I do that now, and this is where, again, only for your content area, meaning if I now go back to my theme here, right? And if I then look at this stuff right here, gone. Index.php. So if I then go back to here and then say, just put a note into myself saying, I'll put the loop here. A minute. Now that shows up here. So no matter what page I'm on now, even the home page, right? This is saying that I'm using index.php. So blog info, template directory, blog info, description. Okay. So if I want to then, so we'll deal with the loop here in a minute, but we're not done with the blog info yet. I want to put in blog info description. So if we look at in my header, and again, hopefully you guys are keeping track that what I'm referring to now is in GitHub, I am looking at the theme for my business site. Okay. Did anybody ever read this posting, search engine optimization in WordPress without using a plugin? All of us read it. It was really good, Mike. Thanks.
I read it, but I felt like I would understand it better maybe.
That's not what you were supposed to say.
Wait, did you read that?
Yeah, I'm just teasing. In the writing for the web.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is where I used a function to then set up my title tag, right? At the core of it is blog info description, retrieve the site tagline, right? So we will do a more conditional title tag down the road, right? But for right now, what we basically want to do is just retrieve the site's tagline, okay? So if I go back to then my index file here, and I go to title, right? Let's see, I'm going to use the, so if I then say blog info, description, don't forget the semicolon, right? what that is going to do then is we view page source now. The title says Mike's WordPress class. Notice something. Now that I've had this theme, I'm logged in. Why am I not getting the admin bar up at the top?
Isn't it part of an include?
Close. We'll get to it in a minute. It's missing because we haven't told it to appear yet.
Okay.
But if I want to then go back to the admin here, and if I go to settings, general, here's the tagline. Do it title case. Mike's WordPress demo spring 2016. Save changes. So now if I go back and view this and update it, the title tag now will reflect whatever I've used as the site tagline. So furthermore, in the general settings here, we have this site title, right? Well, the site title, if I go to blog info name, right? So what I could do then is I could even do this. Instead of saying this here, blog info name, and I go back and view source, it's going to change it now to WEB170 Spring 2016 to reflect the site title and the tagline. So in my business site then, I have it saying logo design, print design, web design and development, and premium design works, right? And then that's where, like I said, in this tutorial, I'm showing you guys how to, based on a conditional structure of whether you're on the front page, whether you're in a normal page or a posting, or there's a parent page, do different things, right? And we'll talk about those conditional structures later on. Okay, so that then is blog info description. Oh, look at that, blog info name, right? Oh, look at that, see also search engine optimization. It's like I already wrote this or something, right? So we have a few other functions that we also absolutely should use, need to use in our websites to start out with. So body class, WP head, WP footer, okay? So let's start out with the body class function. Now, in my site here, or any site, right? How many of you have ever done any conditional programming and a conditional PHP. Like, remember when you were in WEB200 and we said, if you are on the About page, write in a class of current to that list item, right? Okay. So if we're on the home page and we view page source and we look at the body tag, class, home, page, page ID 8, it's a page template, page template, page home, page template, page home, PHP. Let's go then to that blog article and look at that view source. Body tag, class, single, because it's a single posting, right? I always want to say all the single ladies, Beyonce or something. Don't judge me. It's just what happens up here. Yeah, I can't control it, man. Welcome to America, right? So it's a single post. Post ID 2051, single format standard. So therefore, if I wanted to use some kind of PHP programming logic to say, if the user is in any blog posting, right? Meaning anything that has a class of single, do X, Y, and Z, right? We would need some way then to make that happen. So that's where then notice I put a space after body. Why? So there's a space between the body tag or the word body and the word class. Okay. I don't think I need two. Yeah, I can't tell if it's one or two. Body class. So now that we've done that, and we go to the, we go to the home page of the demo here. Note to self, change the link on the logo later on. But now if I'm at the home page and I view page source, class, home, blog, logged in, admin bar, no customized support. Okay, so that's a really good, in other words, what I'm kind of going over are some of the core functionality that every WordPress theme should use. Do yourself a favor. Before I learned that there was that body class function, I think I did the page ID function up there instead. Raven was the one that actually pointed out the body class function to me. So, but now, moving on.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
All of these default functions are defined in WordPress core somewhere. They're not in a functions file.
Correct. Meaning, blog info, body class, right? All of these are that I'm using so far are WordPress written functions. Okay, what do I mean by that? Somewhere in the box that is WordPress core, they have defined the function body class and told it to do whatever instructions they gave it to do. What we're merely doing is referencing, using however you want to say that function, using that function, and then passing arguments within it that So for instance, if we go to blog info, right? That blog info exists somewhere. Oh, there it is. Source file. This is what I was looking for earlier. So in the file, WP includes general template.php. Oh, come on. Really? Don't change stuff on me. Oh, view source. Source. No.
Wait, go back to that?
This?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Click view on track. It'll do it with the title.
Why do they change stuff on me? That's what I want to know.
Codex does that a lot. A lot of their pages are kind of.
There it is. Somewhere in here, they've defined the function blog info, and they've given it. So get blog info would then be the, here it is, right? So if you really want to geek out on all this stuff, go dig into that. Don't change it, but take a look at it, right? So what I'm doing then is I'm just using the get or the blog info function, and I am then passing the arguments through it that the arguments that I pass through it are name, description, any one of these. And so I can see that name does that. Description does this. Right? So yeah, this is where I'm using their framework to achieve my goals. Does that make sense? Right? So I don't have to develop my own content management system. That answers your question, correct?
Yeah, makes sense why we don't need function.php, the extra one right now.
Right, because we haven't written, so those this functions file, then we are going to have to put in some that use their functions because that's just the way their system works. Why does their system work that way? That's the way they designed and developed it, right? But then we can also write our own. Tell it to do this, whoops. Tell it to do this kind of stuff using their functions. So it's basically just one giant puzzle, right? If you look at it, I mean, basically I just feel like with WordPress, I know the WordPress puzzle. So I know how to put WordPress themes together using their puzzle pieces, right? After Mark figured that out halfway through the class here, he was just like, oh shit, really? That's all it is? Right? It was what? Yeah. He said something under his breath about you, Adam. I don't remember what it was.
It's not clear.
Yeah. So then the next two that we want to put in here. So we've done, and there's a lot more to it than that, but at its basic functionality, yeah, we're just using their puzzle pieces, right? So we put in body class in the body tag there. Next one we want to do is WP head. Okay. The WP head function allows your theme to pull in any linked style sheets, JavaScripts, etc., into the head section of your theme. Likewise, the WP footer function allows your theme to pull in any JavaScripts into the footer of your theme. This is where the code for the toolbar will live. Okay. So if I look at then here in my Premium Design Works theme, and I go into my header.php file, what I have done is I have put in the WP head function right before the closing of the head tag. Sometimes what I've actually done in my school theme is I moved some stuff around where I put my WP head function before any external calls to JavaScripts. All right, I'll leave it up to you to where you want to do it. But one way, shape, or form, what we need to do then is, if I put the WP head function in there, let's take a look at what it'll do. So if I view source here on my business site, start WP head, end WP head. So it will do things like place certain WordPress related stuff in there. It will also, if, for instance, if we have a plugin that has a style sheet that it needs to use, that plugin will use the hook for WP head to place, then write the style sheet into the code in that particular spot. Similarly, WP footer. So a lot of plugins will put their JavaScripts down in the WP footer area because you know as well as I do that some of your JavaScripts you want to load at the end. Who knows about that kind of stuff, right? Okay, so therefore, I'm going to go to my theme here. And notice again, I'm still just using index.php. I haven't chopped this up into the include files yet, or my template files yet. But I am then going to go to right before my closing head tag. Notice that I just comment the hell out of things. And I indent my code, and I try to make my code very much hierarchical, like this up here. So this was something from that those of you that took WEB170, right? Or those of you that took my typography class, to H3, H4, and kind of just the hierarchy of blocks of information. It's kind of how I do my code. It's all information architecture to me, man. WP underscore. Likewise, I'm going to go down to just before the closing body tag. Both my WP footer and my WP head functions. So if I go back, closing excess tabs. You're welcome, Adam.
You had a lot less.
Oh, I meant Adam Cozy.
No, I know,
Yeah.
but you had a lot less time.
Yeah.
Last class, you had like,
So look what shows up. Because I put my WP footer tag in there, function. Oops.
Sorry, Mark.
It is basically put all the admin bar stuff in there and a lot of other stuff. If we go back now where I put the WP head function, meta name, robots, content, no index, no follow. That's because we clicked the button to discourage search engines from indexing the site. It also has, at this point in time, some icons. Here's the contact form 7 style sheets, right? So that plugin style sheet was not populating in our code, right? Now it is. So far, you can see this is correct. Oh my God, it's like we're building something step by step. Oh. Now let's talk about the loop. What is the loop? Well, let me read that to you. The loop is used by WordPress to display each of your posts. Using the loop, WordPress processes each of the posts to be displayed on the current page and formats them accordingly to how they match specified criteria within the loop's tags. Any HTML or PHP code placed in the loop will be repeated on each post or page. Okay, so basically, I was already logged in. I clicked log out on accident when I was viewing source, didn't I? That's what happened. Yeah. Whew, boy, it's been a complicated day, hasn't it? Yeah, because this password is really, really simple. This kind of day. Yeah.
Sorry.
Ask Mark how I was almost throwing things in my office earlier.
Mark,
But he didn't.
is there almost throwing
He
things?
didn't throw anything. He might right now.
There's not a lot of room to.
The internet went out. That's what was happening. We're back. So,
Bring your own internet.
well, here's the, so, what was happening last time, you remember how it was going back to then defaulting back to the camera after it dropped? Well, now that I'm unplugging the camera, it's a screen. So at least it's just timing out and then going back instead of going to camera. So at least, thanks, Grant. Told me about that. Okay, so where were we? That was my impression.
Very nice.
Thank you. Go to my About page inside the dashboard. And I have text in here. If I view the site, and notice this, these links are still not working. So if I view page instead of going here and navigating through, I'm on the About page. So this is where I'm going to put the loop in. So what the loop does, basically, the loop will add specific pieces of content from whatever posting. Meaning, if I want to get this title, I can. Get everything, I can. Now, I also use and other things. So I'm in right here. Am I good? Good. Oh, come on, kill me.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're getting good at that.
I'm getting good at that. So I'm saying. Phrase for this. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Thank you, looking.
Well, hopefully, Rush. Now, let's go back here.
Get back down.
Refresh.
All right, if this is, okay. Awesome. Snap. Oh, I'm getting pissed. Okay. Still up and running? Yeah, because Google didn't lose the connection.
No, yeah, my internet flashed out too.
Yeah.
It's done.
Well, everybody's dead.
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully that's still recording. If not, I am going to throw something through a window today.
My internet is dead.
Okay, so getting back to this. So if I am here, the things. Title, excerpt, full story link, byline. Okay? If I actually go to the posting, byline, featured image, content. If I go to edit the posting, title, content, insert, image, index.php, and I'm going to open up single.php. So I'm in single.php, which is, we haven't gotten to chopping things up into includes yet, but in single.php, that is the template file for our postings. So that I'm of look at that, my things are off. I have an ID for content here, okay? In that ID of content, I'm going to put the loop in. So this is what the loop looks like. If, while, do this, if, have posts, meaning, if there are posts, while there are posts, use the data out of the database for the post.
It's not a good loop.
What?
A loop doesn't have enough conditions, it will just keep going.
Well, we haven't
Okay.
set, yeah. And while and if. Inside the loop, that's where we can grab things like the ID of the posting, the title of the posting, the time of the posting, the category in which it is. I made my own get featured image with link function. The content. This function, the content, specifically gets every of the text editor. Function here gets the title. On my index.php, I'm at the root of my blog. The root of my blog uses index.php as its template. It gets the title, the byline, and the excerpt. If category is that, else that, while there are postings, get the stuff out of the database for that post, like the ID, the permalink, the title, the time, the category, the permalink, the title, the post thumbnail, the featured image, for its ID, size thumbnail, the excerpt then being content out of here. Okay, so what we are going to do then is I've deleted the content out of my template file or my index.php. So I need to then write out the loop. Ready? Why am I starting off with 2 empty script tags? Anybody tell me? What?
Because you got it? For the-
Well, I have to, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to use escapement. Escapement.
Is that a word you made up or is that an actual thing?
It's a real word.
Mike is all genius, he's made everything up.
Escapement means one of 2 things. Have you ever been writing PHP or JavaScript and you have double quotes and single quotes? And you have to put a backslash to escape, right? To not mix up the double and single quotes. Another type of escapement is that we use a lot in the WordPress world. If I want to start a script, but then ultimately I want to write out HTML. If I don't close the script, I can't write out HTML. I would have to use an echo statement or an echo function to then write out that HTML. Does anybody have any idea what I'm talking about? Okay, so that is also, in other words, if I look at my functions file here, if I, let's see, forget child pages. If I have article tags, etc., I can use inside of a PHP function, I can use echo or print or return in different circumstances to then write out HTML. I can then concatenate with other variables, etc., thereby writing out a full article tag and variables, and makes sense, right? But if I at all want to then write out HTML without having to use echo or print or returning it using a variable, right, that I've set, I would then close the script, write out HTML, open up another PHP script. So you can open and close PHP scripts at random, willy-nilly, like to make one big, huge PHP script. Does that make sense? That's the whole pre-processing aspect. You have something to add on that, Mark?
Yeah, and that's something just with, I think most people have probably taken PHP, hopefully our intro, HC tutorial. But the whole concept is that PHP is processed on the server. So the PHP kind of engine goes through and just sees PHP tags and fills them in. And then so the web browser only sees the HTML, it never sees the PHP.
Fantastic. Thank you. So anyhow, so that's where we say, so here, if I open this up, if have posts while close it, down here, I'll have an end while end if to end while and that while statement, end if, and this if statement. So here we go. If have let's see.
There's nothing to prevent the Amber Alert from sounding off your phone.
And there shouldn't be.
People can stop connecting to them, but that's clear.
Usually an Amber Alert's like a relative. They're like, oh, your dad did, or your mom has the restraining order on, is taking the child.
So anyway,
Or the mom.
if, while, the posts, and while, and if. So in here, right, this is where if I used function, the content, I should then see everything written or presented within my text editor. So if I did it correctly, everything from HTML Ipsum presents all the way down should present itself. Well, looks like I did it correctly.
You want a cookie? I didn't want you to do that.
But this is displaying my really super large image. Somewhere in my style sheets, maybe I didn't do something correctly for the good old responsiveness, which I'll have to go back and fix. Let's check that, inspect. Image. Image class, image, content image, max width, 100%. Huh, image, box setting, word box, hide auto, content image. Oh, close that. Let's just go edit page, and this image I'm going to edit to use medium for now. And updates, view page. Huh, I wonder where that error is. HTML Ipsum, I don't have a style for, is that, let's see. Oh, I should get rid of that one anyway. Just gonna get rid of that. Oh. Paragraph. Paragraph. Oh, I hate when it does that. Come on. There's something weird in Chrome that does that. Oh. All right. So that's the loop. That's the basics of the loop. So basically, what we did, again, is if I go to any page or post, any page or posting uses the loop then to typically use the content function to get everything within the content area. So if I want to then, oops, I forgot to, I don't really need to, but it's good practice. Why not? Now, did anybody wonder what these were?
Yes, Mike.
Who knows why we're using colons there? Nope.
Logical and,
What?
logical and, like, if blah, while blah, if both are true, then all is
It's
true.
instead of writing it like this. See what I'm saying? Instead of writing compound conditionals, I think, or nesting one if statement within another, or nesting a while statement inside it. In other words, if we go Now it's on. How long ago did it go out? Have you been listening to it this whole time? Oh yeah. Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, this is really sucking.
Yeah,
What?
yeah. It was
What?
Mike Hughes. It was Mike.
Yeah.
What
Oh, I know what it
triggers-
was.
What triggers that?
Whatever gremlins in the system that Maria needs to find. That she told me she's looking for.
Okay.
I have no idea. That's why it's so frustrating.
It's on now.
It's on now. Great.
How long ago did it stop? That's what really I want to know.
Yeah, me too.
What do you have to repeat?
I don't know. I'd have to view the video to see where it went out. But at least Mark caught it.
Well, we'll be doing that anyways.
Yeah. Good thing that everything is really written out on my lecture pages, that you don't even really need the videos, but the videos are so awesome. And then here's what I can do. When explaining the loop here in more detail, if have post, while have post, the post, this is basically where WordPress says, are there postings to show? There are, great. Then while there are postings to be shown, I will show the contents of them. Seriously, hold on, I have a joke. Seriously, WordPress can talk like that. Don't question, just believe. These are the things that, as I'm writing these lectures, really late at night, sober,
Right, right. That's how all
We believe
creative
you.
endeavors happen.
ish.
Relatively.
Anyhow, so there are other functions that you can use within the loop, right? That basically will, so you know where it said, and this is how I understand how it works, where it says the post. Basically, this references the post ID, whatever post number, ID number it is. So for whatever ID number, you can get the title, the permalink, the content, and other ones, the time, the category, etc. So this is where then the title, right, has its own arguments that you can pass through it as well. But basically, you can say, get the title. I don't typically put the tags inside there like that. I typically, just checking, you're still working. I put them outside like that. Anyhow, that's the loop.
Is there
Yay!
any particular benefit to doing it one way versus the other way? Putting the tags inside versus putting them outside?
I'm sure it's all context related in terms of how and what you're writing in a function, right? So let's say you're, not using escapement and you need to pass those tags within the parameters of a function instead of using an echo statement or instead of escaping it like this. I guess it's all relative to where you are within the framework and what you're trying to do. Make sense? Okay. So that right there, my friends, concludes creating a WordPress theme from a template. Now, should we just keep going for today? We're basically kind of a day behind. Keep going? Okay. Navigation and menu system. So we've already done part of this. So we need to basically take this menu system right here. And currently, if I again, I go to my install here, that's working. And right now it's still the static menu system. Right? In other words, look down at the bottom and it's still pointing to main.html, 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 main.html. So what I need to do then is, if in look at that. I can't find my menus.
Mine's gone too.
Yeah, who can tell me why? I know why.
Not part of your theme or?
I haven't registered in my menus yet. Oh, because the theme that we were previously using are our menus. So now, what we need to do is register our nav menus. And we can register a couple of them, as many as we want. Okay, so this is where I'm going to go into my functions file. Register nav menus. This is where I'm going to do array. Make sure I go back and do that right. Nav menus, array. Yeah. Do. And then in that array, what I want to do is an associative array. Sorry, I stuck on the. Okay, so main menu. Main menu. Right, that's what I have. Then do I need the comma? I don't think I need the comma because I'm just doing one, but I put it anyway. Right. So now, if I've registered that correctly, don't you guys love how I say, if I've done that correctly, let's go see if I've done it correctly. If I haven't done it correctly, I have to go do it correctly. Let's see if I've done it correctly. It's a fun game I play. Menus. Is yours there now, Anna?
Yeah.
And so basically what I did was I have menu name, main menu, and this is where, again, the whole thing right here. See where it says main right here? That refers to this right here. Now, every time I then set up a menu system, or every time, remember how we said anytime you install a new theme, you may have to go and change the locations of the menus, otherwise it might break, right? So what I want to do then is say, select my main menu that then I have set up before. So if we've set up our main menu structure here, right? Then we can go back here. So if we've set that up, again, in our functions file, and we go back to index.php, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to comment my list item out for the time being, or my list items. Okay. So let me double check. So when it comes to this point in time here, I really need to then double check. In other words, I'm trying to do things exactly like I wrote it in my script, because I've had the unpleasant fortune of going off script,
Bad things happen.
and students then have used the script, and yeah, names have changed, etc. So what I want to do then is eventually change. Oh, I didn't use that div tag. Okay, let's do it like this. Do. Oops. I'm basically commenting out my whole navigation system here. Okay. And what I want to do then is use the WP nav menu function. Right now, I'm going to start out doing it without any arguments. Okay. When I do that, see what happens. Again, let's see if I've done this correctly. I don't mess up here and there, Mark, right? Why does it look like that? So it's there, it's working. I basically then, if I view my page source, here's the navigation that I commented out. Here is the beginning of the navigation, and I used this function, WP nav menu, to call that menu system. So why does it look like that, and is it not adhering to my styles?
CSS not pointing to it anymore?
Yeah, one could say that. Why?
Nav changed, nav name changed.
Yeah. Okay. So basically what I did when I used the nav menu function here, WP nav menu, if I don't use any of the arguments, right, it will just kick out. See, I don't like the way they've done this now. I like the way they had the argument structure before. Well, let's go down here. So if we use the WP nav menu system, it will take what is going on? Well, it will div, class, main menu container, UL, ID, main menu. So then is, we need to, if I understand this correctly, rekey the associative array, meaning I need to, want to, instead of saying div class menu main menu container, I want it to be written out as div ID navigation. So it matches up with my current style sheet. Making sense to you? So therefore, I need to then create another associative array and rekey those pieces. Theme location, container, div, container ID, navigation, items wrap, so on and so forth, right? So let's start out kind of slowly. Theme, the underscore location. This is why I had printed notes. Pardon me while I flip to them. Well, here's what I'm saying. How many of you can remember word for word, letter by letter, all the programming stuff you need to do? No hands? Oh, me neither. Theme location. Oh, and it didn't print out the whole thing. No. Yeah, no, don't give that to me. I need to adjust my little code blocks because when it's all in one line like that.
I see.
So, theme location, yeah, it's all right. I deserve it. Theme location. Makes it more fun like this. Don't you feel like we're improvising? I do. So I want to grab the main dash menu, even though it's already grabbing that one, because that's the only one that is by default up and running right now. Then I want to say container. And this is where whatever, if you've put yours in a div tag or a nav tag or whatever tag you put yours in. So I want to then say, I want to use a div tag. Comma. And then this is where container, this is where my thing is cut it off. So, move out of the way, that thing. Here's the thing with plugins, move. There we go. Container, div, container ID, navigation. I'll leave that one at the end. So my question to you guys. Have you all worked with associative arrays like this before? Yes? Ish? Here's what you need to know, okay? This is an associative array. That's number one. Number two, there are default values that WordPress is going to populate. In other words, because I use WP nav menu, right? So before I go and refresh this, I go back to the view source, right? It is going to, by default, use a div tag and give it a class of that. If I want to overwrite that, that's where I say, no. The container, well, it's a div tag, but if I wanted it to be a nav tag, right? The container ID, I want it to be navigation. So now if I refresh, it's adhering to my style sheet, except for this, that I need to hide that, the submenu, right? But overall, it's adhering to my style sheet because now if I view page source, it is now going to use a nav tag with the ID of navigation. It's still going to put that class in there. That's fine. Right. But it puts in that ID that I want it to, right? Because my style sheets for that, is this confusing, Anna? Does that look?
Mine's totally broken.
Well, okay. So what you need to do then is, if this is how you wrote the container, you need to, via in the nav menu function, let's close some of these things here. You can pass your own arguments through that function using an associative array. So instead of writing my array separately with a variable and an array statement like that, I am choosing to write mine just within the function argument parameter area, right? Within the parentheses operators where you pass arguments. Does that make sense so far? That you pass, in other words, if I want to pass arguments to this function, I'm going to pass them there, right? Because that's where they go. Do you call them parameters or arguments?
They're
Right.
arguments when you're passing stuff through it. Parameter is a placeholder.
We'll go with that. So I want to rewrite those arguments, right? Because if I don't pass any arguments through it, WordPress is going to use its default arguments, thereby giving it a div tag with a class. I want to make it a nav tag and put an ID on it. But I also need to say, which menu do I use? Menu accepts the ID slugger name of the menu. So I wanted to use, oops, theme location was the one, sorry. Theme location, theme location, theme location, theme location. theme location to be used. Must be registered with register nav menu. So I chose theme location, main menu, which goes to see main menu is using the one for main that we set up. Remember that? Those little parameters in there might, you know, make your head hurt, just that one. So that's the first one. Then I want the container to be a nav tag. So I use the argument or the associative array key, right? So again, we're doing an associative array, we're using a key value pair. True? Totally, that makes sense. So I use the key of container and I give it what value I want. Div, UL. In this case, I said container, give it a nav tag. Container ID. Give container ID, the ID that's applied to the container. Navigation. Therefore, now let's change this back to div because, yeah,
No. Did it?
yeah, it just
Yeah.
cut, yeah, it just wrapped it.
Okay.
Because I originally had div ID of navigation, right? So if that's what I originally had, those are the parameters, arguments, if you will, that I need to rekey or overwrite using the associative array. So you will notice this pattern. How WordPress is set up is most of their functions, bless you, use associative arrays to pass the arguments of said functions. So this pattern right here is one we will use over and over again. So hold on. So if I've set this up correctly, like I said, then now that I refresh this, my main menu, if I inspect it, div ID navigation. Inside of it, if I wanted to change this UL tag, I could as well, or change the ID of that as well, given the argument system. But does that make sense as a concept? We are going to use the, like I said, this array key value pair concept to overwrite their default arguments. Okay, Amy.
So when we're using the div for the instead of the nav, we're doing that because div is what matches the CSS file that we've already uploaded.
If that's the case, yes.
Okay, and if we wanted to,
Where mine, I was basically, why it didn't matter if I was using a nav tag or a div tag is because I'm using hashtag navigation or pound navigation to style my navigation system. Meaning, if I look at any one of these list items, I'm using pound navigation UL LI. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the one key for me was that I had to use the ID of navigation. I could have used a nav tag, I could have used a poo tag. for all that I care.
If you do it this way and you don't have a div tag or nav tag in there, is it necessary to include that in the PHP?
It's all how you've created it. Again, it's contextual. You are going to have to do what you need to do based on your system, your theme, what you've created. So you tell me is kind of what I'm saying. So all I care about is that you get it working correctly. Whatever ID, class, nav tag, div tag, I don't care.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking ahead to when working on submenu.
Sure, absolutely. I understand. Yeah, because we're going to use the same concept down the road. And again, I'm basically, if I've set up my template system to use these specific naming convention, this specific naming convention, then what I need to do is, if I needed a div tag, I needed to rekey the array to say container as a div tag, and I needed to say container ID navigation, so it matched up with that, so it matched my CSS file. Whatever series of variables and context and whatever you have, you then need to, and this goes for all of you, especially you lazy bastards that are out sitting in the sun and not in class right now. Right?
So my
So hold on,
navigation system is,
So therefore, you would need to compare these parameters. And again, this is where they used to have a real nice, they used to have the associative array example, but now it doesn't look like they're doing that anymore. But that's how you do it. Does that make sense?
yeah, my navigation system is controlled via an external JavaScript file though. So I'm thinking that I'm gonna have to go in and rewrite it. So-
What you need to do then is see the output of said JavaScript file.
and-
Meaning,
Okay,
what tags, what IDs, what classes that it kicks out,
right.
and duplicate those. Because whatever that JavaScript then is output in HTML, and your CSS is using those tags and IDs and classes, that's what you have to match.
Yeah. I understand.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand.
All right, so that's where we will stop for today. We have catching up to do. If you guys need some extra time on the assignments and stuff, I'll grant that to you. But my hope is that you guys can just get it done according to the videos. Yeah, yes, no, Anna, you tell me.
Well, I have, if I use the navigation that I used for the 200 site, which has submenus.
Let's put it this way. Let me look at what we have left to go. Implement the submenu for pages.
Oh, okay, so that'll be next class.
Yeah, so that'll be next class there, and then we should be able to catch up.
How are we not turning this in? So I saw one comment on the side of the page.
With the PHP and the JavaScript.
Still
You
want
just
to-
check your staging area.
Just checking the staging
I
area.
just spend, I just need to spend maybe some solid.
Just get it done or I'll check it. And that goes for all you bastards at home. Just get the fucking thing done so I'll check it. Okay? God